Hello everyone, sorry I've been away for such a long time. I've been doing stuff with my exams. I did upload something on my other channel, which you can probably check out from all the little things around me, about where I did a sketch as all the different doctors consoling 12 after the loss of Clara and Hellbent. Sorry, spoilers there, but you probably should have seen that by now if you actually want to see that. So, I thought I'd kick off my top 10 videos with top 10 Sarah Jane Adventures episodes, because the Sarah Jane Adventures was great. So, at number 10, we have The Last Centaur. I need to fiddle with 9 and 10 quite a bit. Number 9 is a different episode, of course. But Last Centaur sits at number 10. It's a really great episode. We see a bit more about the Centaurans. Unfortunately, they're still short. But he's a sinister character. He reminds me a lot of Lynx from the third Doctor episode, the first episode with the Centaurans, and it's just the comicalness of Strax isn't there, so that's good. But that was obviously before there was any Strax anyway. But the whole thing about one Centauran, I do really like that, and all the stuff between Luke and Maria, and just Maria in general, was just really powerful and so... Is watchable the right word here? Let's go with it. Number 9, we have The Eternity Trap. Now, I really enjoy this episode. I mean, the guy who plays the main villain, I can't think of his name, which is really wrong with me. He played Vassalon in... Oh, I mentioned Hellbent twice in a video. Yeah, and oh yeah, he was just so good. And yes, there are cheesy moments, and he does say some ridiculous things, but it's reasonably Paranormal Activity style, and I just like that. It's a shame Luke's not in it, because Luke is a favourite character of mine, but it does give us a chance to see the relationship between Clyde and Rani starting to form in that series. Number 8 is the final episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures completely. It's the Man Who Never Was. I had to put this above the other two because this was just so funny. I could put it down to just that one scene between... I'm really awful with this, I can't remember anyone's names. The hologram and Sarah Jane, the interview with Sarah Jane, because that's what we saw in Series 1, and we were sort of losing it because Sarah Jane was no longer coming across as a journalist, and it was seen in Warriors of Good Back, sarcasm and journalism, and then it was shown again in this episode, and it was just so funny because it was so obvious. She just knew he was a hologram, but the subliminal jokes she was saying, and it just all goes down to that scene. I know the little things are a bit like Jawas, it's a bit stupid, but the whole plot wasn't a whole idea of like an alien invasion. It was just a guy getting profit. So it was just a guy using electronics to get a profit, and I just thought it was a really good story, and Luke was back, so I was happy about that. At number 7, we have The Lost Boy. Now, this was the final episode of Series 1 of Sarah Jane Adventures, and it was a really good series, and it was quite strong throughout the whole thing. And in this episode, we saw such emotion from Elizabeth Sladen. We did a lot in other episodes, but this one was just so heartbreaking when she had to give Luke away back to his parents, and I thought it was actually a really good story for the Celine. I did sort of like Revenge... Is it Revenge of the Celine? Oh, no. Revenge of the Celine, second episode, well, sort of the first, sort of the second episode, depends if you count the pilot as the first episode or not. But I just thought it was a really good story for the Savine, but it also had that massive twist with Mr. Smith and him being a Psylocke, and Clyde doing all the typey thing was really clever, and I love the fact that we now saw the implications of Sarah Jane's on the family with the dad, and I love the joke with the and we're going to fight some aliens with squirty vinegar from the chippy. I love that bit. At number 6 we have Prisoner of Jadoon. Now, I love the Jadoon. The Jadoon were a great species, a great idea of the one species being a set of policemen, but policemen just getting their job done no matter what the consequences are for anybody else around them. Unfortunately, they've only really been in one episode of Doctor Who, and that was their first, Smith and Jones. But I thought they were really good here. We had the one single Jadoon trying to fight Anjavax. Now, Anjavax is a great character. He's just so sinister, and he can shapeshift. And the idea of the nanogenes and the nanobots, whoever they were, really great idea. I was tempted to put the Vault of Secrets on this list because I do really like Anjavax, but all the stuff with the Men in Black and Rita, I just think that's a bit weird. So I didn't touch the list, but I did like all the stuff with Rani's parents and the Jadoon and running around and them losing their memory, and that was just really clever and really good episode. And that, actually, saying this, that is how the Xylons should be done. At number 5, we're going to have my first appearance of the Trickster on my list, literally my favourite Sarah Jane Adventures enemy, and possibly for the whole of Doctor Who, considering the Master's sort of been a bit put downhill now, is The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. This is a really great story, more sometimes for even just the first half, not even the fact the Doctor's in it. The Doctor doesn't need to be in this episode, not really. It is just a really standout episode. It's the bits between Sarah Jane and her husband, which I can't think of the name, or fiance. They're the bits that are the best in the episode. And the whole plot of him having to marry her to stop her from carrying on with her stuff in the attic is great. And I just really enjoy watching this episode. It doesn't sit on the same level as the greatness of the first one, of how clever that is, which I'll get onto later, and of course the one with her parents, which is even more, in my eyes, even more emotional. And number 4, we're going to put one that I mentioned before, which is Warriors of Gudak. This is a really great story. It's quite simple, it just stands on its own. It's got not particularly that much character development to it, so it doesn't, you don't really watch it at any point that you like. And it's just really good. It's just got a good pace to it, and you get really invested in what happens to the characters, and it's a great sub-story between Clyde and Luke and Sarah Jane and Maria, and I just really enjoy watching it. At number 3, I'm going to be putting the Whatever Happened to Sarah Jane Smith. Now, this didn't get the second place or the first place because I prefer the other episode with the Trickster. I'll tell you which one that comes to later. And the other episode I'm going to put does stand out a bit better than this one, because you do have some weird scenes, or not weird scenes, but just not so well-paced moments in the second half with the Grask, and the weird sort of bit where he sat there like that, Maria's dad, and you can hear the music again. I do love all the scenes in the first half at the end when she meets Sarah Jane, and the bits in the library are really good, and the person who plays Maria, and I can't think of her name, I keep forgetting names in this video, she's just really good at pretending that she knows and no one else does, and the plot of the story and the Trickster in this is just so great. And it links quite well into Turn Left, which is one of my favourite Doctor Who episodes. Not completely my favourite, but one of them. It stands near the top because it's just so clever how possibilities or moments can mean so much more in the right circumstances. And just a tiny moment and a meteor, and by chance, such a good idea and concept, and the Trickster should definitely come back in class, at least, or even if they do any more Torchwood at any point. The Trickster is just such a good character. Even just the Trickster Brigade, which was seen in Turn Left, just such a good character. But I'm going to go on to the Trickster again when I tell you the next one, or even the first one, but let's carry on. At number 2, I'm actually going to be putting the Eye of the Gorgon. Now, I did mention previously about The Lost Boy being an episode about how Sarah Jane has actually impacted on people's lives, but really this is where it first becomes evident. This is the episode where Maria's dad gets turned into stone and she just realises that Sarah Jane, or the stuff she does with Sarah Jane, is just really dangerous. And it's the first realisation when the audience was watching that she is putting these teenagers in danger, whereas in Doctor Who it's adults, but in that it's teenagers, and she is putting them in danger, and it really does show in this episode. And there are other standout moments, and the one thing I do really love about the episode is the backstory with the old woman in the old people's home, with her husband and the stone, and the happy ending. I know I don't like saying happy ending, but the happy ending at the end, where she starts to get her memory back. It's really lovely to watch, and it's well put together, and it's how Doctor Who should be done. It should be a myth of something with falling into people's backstories, and I just love the story for so many reasons. And we even start to get more character development for Luke at this point. I can't remember which one falls first. It's Warriors of Gudak or this one, but between them they do start showing Luke trying to understand humanity and jokes and all the stuff with Clyde. So, first place with a drum roll, but that was cheesy. I'm not doing that again. Is The Temptation of Sarah Jane Smith. This might be a controversial choice because I don't think everybody would put this at number one, because you've got all the weird moments where it's an alternative future with Maria and her mum and the Grask and all that stuff, but all the stuff in the past with Sarah Jane and her parents, it's just done so well. Looking over the fact that her dad is played by the guy who lived with Basil Brush, who actually met, or didn't meet, but saw in a pantomime. It's just really well done. A massive emotional investment for Sarah Jane, and we didn't discover that much about her character during her time with the Fourth Doctor or even the Third Doctor. She was just a journalist, and she was a good character. She worked really well alongside both Doctors, but we didn't know much about her. And in this episode we found out about her parents and how she didn't have parents or growing up, and we already had hints of her childhood in the Clown episode, which is also very good, but it didn't just reach my list because I prefer Maria to Rani. But all the scenes near the end, and really this episode isn't so much about the trickster, even though it's a clever plot about the temptation of Sarah Jane and getting her to do what she's doing to save her parents. It's a lot, in some ways, like Father's Day. And they're both companions, they're both human, they both realise that they could save their parents and they do it. But she realises her mistake, and then the scenes with her saying goodbye to her parents are just so lovely to watch, and it just puts it at number one for me because it's got the trickster, who I always love the trickster, and it's just got those amazing scenes between her and her parents. And I love the 50s setting as well. The 50s setting is always going to make me like something, and it's just how you do a character's backstory that's been around for, what was it, 20-30 years. It was just done so well, and it's my favourite episode. So that was my top 10. I'm sure your top 10 will be very different to mine, so I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. If you just enjoyed this video, then please like it. Expect videos to not be too frequent for now, but when my exams are over very soon, I'll try and upload quite a few videos onto here and my original channel, which you can check out, where I do animations and trailers and all that sort of stuff. And if you want to see more top 10s or reviews, subscribe for more. So thank you for watching. See you later.